So let's go to VsCode extensions. What are the extensions? Without these extensions, VsCode Visual Studio Code is just a simple text editor. You can create a file and for example start type on that, start write something on the VsCode. But these extensions that I will discuss in this video will help us to create files, for example create Python files and run them with our VsCode. So, or many other languages, for example JavaScript. So, how we can install them? As soon as you install VsCode, you will face an empty page like this, exactly like this. Okay, and we have a lot of parts here and a lot of section in the sidebar that you can see, but we want to work with this part. The name of this part is extensions. When you click on that, you will face a lots of extensions that Visual Studio provided for us. The important thing that we should use in the Python development is to install Python extension. When you type the Python name, it will search on the extensions that it has, and it will show up some, for example, extension that we can install. The main extensions that we will need is this one, Python. I already installed this extension, but you can simply, if you type Python here, you can simply tap on install and it will be installed after several minutes for you. It will let us to run our Python code in Visual Studio and many other feature it will give us. So as soon as you install this Python and you back to the installed extensions list that you can see them here, you can see this Python that installed and many others. With this Python, installing this Python extension, it will install some other extensions for you. For example, this Pylance, it will be installed for you with the Python. You won't need to install this. For example, it will be installed Jupyter for you. Jupyter Notebook is something that you can create cells, as you can see in the picture. You can create cells and write your codes there. It's something like Google Colab that I discussed in previous video. Another extension that we can have, and it will be installed with the Python, is something that will help us to fix our codes. Not all of the code, just the import parts. If you in the future you will need to import some libraries in your code, and if you import them by mistake, it will help us to fix that. So these extensions will be installed as soon as you install the Python, but we have a lots of other extensions that it can help us to write code better. For example, another extension that we have is this one. What's that? What is this extension? When you write Python code, this extension will help us to make performance of our code better. It will help us step by step. For example, if you write a loop, it will help you to make that better. It will refactor our Python code. So it can be really helpful for us. But I won't install that. I just use that Python. Another extension that we have is better comments. that can help us to write comments in our code and to look like better here, as you can see in the picture. What is a comment? Comment is a text that you write in your, for example, Python file, but it won't be executed. So why we use that at all? For example, let's assume that we are writing an application and after 5 years we should back to that. With these comments, it will be helpful and it will help us to understand what are, for example, this function, this parameter do. So the comments will help us to understand. It's something that we can say it's a description of the code that we are writing. It can be anything and you can write that without any execution from Python. We have lots of other extensions. Let me see, we have one other that it's interesting. Let me see if I forgot the name. Yes, this one. It also can be helpful for us. If you would write a Python code, you will need to run that to see the output. This extension will help us to see the output of our code in real time, as you can see also in the image. As soon as you write the code, if you have any error, it will show up here. You can search that in the, for example, Google. And if you don't have any error, it will show up the output of the codes that you wrote, as you can see here. So it's again something that can be helpful for us. But for now, we are good to go with just this Python extension, just to create Python file, and then after that we can run that Python file. After that, or if you need, you can install any of these extensions that I mentioned.